St Pierre White. Join me as I share my passion for building four-wheel drive trucks and travelling to the remotest parts of the world. This is Dubai, with its spirited combination of the ultra-modern and a past as old as human history itself. I'm here by invitation. The brief is: bring your toothbrush and your driver's license and we will look after everything else. And come and drive something amazing in an astounding place. That was good enough for me. What they didn't tell me was what vehicle would they give me to drive. So would a trip around the city give me any clues as to what it is? One thing about the Arabs, they like their camels, but they love their cars, and especially if they are four-wheel drive. This is my host, Sean Mayer. A bit of a surprise, South African, expat, been living here for well over a decade. And he's taken over as director, producer, doing a good job at it too. So I see there are two. There's the top and then there's the scarf.
So actually, it's the same, right? So this is Saudi, typically, and this is Jordanian with the tassels at the bottom. So typically you'd only be wearing the one, and in a sandstorm you would cover up the face, right? So only your eyes stick out. So camels have it naturally. They've got big, long eyelashes, protect from the sand.
Right.
We as humans, not so good.
Okay.
And hence we use these. So here's one for the rest of the trip.
Brilliant, thank you.
I'll show you how to use it later. And if the wind blows, we'll cover you up, and that's all we'll see.
Well, we'll do it anyway.
Good.
Excellent. But this is getting me no nearer to guessing what vehicle they're going to give me. Ah, this might work. We're going to go on a boat.
I tell you stop, I tell you go, we're taking shot, we have to come outside here so we can make parking, and you must stop.
It's pretty stunning.
Yeah, I don't think it's one of those. Isn't this amazing? I had no idea that Dubai was like this. I always thought it was just a place to come shopping. But this, the old city, they built a brand new city because the old city couldn't expand anymore. And the old city is, I mean, what we're filming here with the dhows, these dhows transport maize, fish, all kinds of food material to the Middle East. This is not history. This happens right now. And it is nestled amongst the skyscrapers of Dubai. It's amazing. Such a surprise. Okay, I've been told. No time to lose. Rush off and change your shoes and go down this enormous zip slide between two skyscrapers. Oh, I didn't mention I changed my voice as well. Okay, enough of that girl stuff. I've asked Sean to take me to where I can see some of Dubai's finest cars. So he's brought me here, a small camping store. But this is a surprise as well.
Mr. White?
I say thank you so much.
Oh, we'll take from the warm one, yeah?
Oh yes, do that, yes. Don't spill it.
This one.
They're so beautiful. I mean, you know, there's no there's no holding back on the ornateness and the show-offiness.
So generally the campsite will be set up, a large campsite, and the locals would go over the weekend, spend the entire weekend over there. It'd be fully equipped, solar panel generators. As you can see, the store's got vastly different camping gear than what we used to.
Yeah.
So it's not a camp set up and leave, or a 2-day camp set up and leave. It's a permanent fixture that gets put down in the desert for the whole winter month. And all the luxury from home, including your tea and coffee.
I trust we're not going to be doing this.
No, we're going to be moving along daily, exploring expedition, as you say.
Oh, wow, thank you. I'll have one of these.
Okay, this looks promising. This enormous blue building, the size of, I don't know, 100 football pitches, is Dubai's auto market. It's where the rich come to buy their cars. Right, Mercedes Geländewagen, Range Rover, Range Rovers. Maybe it's a Range Rover would be quite nice. Defender, Gelände. He's showing me a lot of Mercedes Geländewagens. Maybe this is a hint. Nissan Patrol, that'll be interesting. Oh, Hummer, that'll be... No, that won't be anything. I won't bother about that. Mercedes Geländewagen. 6-wheel drive. Would they really... They wouldn't give me a 6-wheel drive. Jeeps would be really good. Geländewagen. What's this? Oh dear. Oh my. I find it difficult to control myself. It's a Porsche 918 Spider. Yes, it's that. It has to be. It has to be that. Okay. I'll settle with the G-Wagon. Still, it could be worse. Finally! This is where I have been told to expect delivery of my mystery 4x4, in which we will cross the desert. Okay, I'm going to pretend that I never saw that. We are at NSV, a Dubai company specializing in the design and manufacture of car accessories. While we wait, we've been offered some coffee. Is that another clue? So the vehicle isn't here yet, I believe. Can I have a look around?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. We're proud to show.
The vehicle's on its way. Because I don't know what they're going to give me. I mean, they've told me it's not off the shelf. And they've said that they're very confident that I'm going to love it. But is it a Jeep? Is it a Land Cruiser? I know a little bit about the Arabs and the way they like to modify their vehicles. And they really sometimes go so over the top. It's just unbelievable, some of the creations they come up with in these countries. I have no idea what I'm going to get. In fact, I'm too scared to guess. Oh well, while I wait, I guess it's time to look at some of the accessories they produce, and of course these delicious old Land Cruisers. This Land Cruiser is believed to be the only 1958 original unmodified Land Cruiser of its type that is still running today. And why it's significant to me is that this green was originally done for the military and only available to the public in the 1960s. And it's exactly the same green that I chose for my Land Cruiser 78 that I built from 2011. This particular one was restored in Malaysia. There are Land Cruiser fans absolutely everywhere. Oh, here comes my vehicle. It's a Land Cruiser. Oh, it's a Land Cruiser. It's a 6-wheel drive cruiser. They must know me quite well.
Andrew, welcome to NSV, and this is your NSV 6x6 Land Cruiser, totally built by us.
What motor?
4-litre petrol, and you can choose it in a diesel turbo as well.
Payload?
3.5 tons.
Six-wheel drive.
Six-wheel drive, permanently.
This is going to be fun. Now, of course, left-hand drive with a very glitzy, shiny steering wheel. Gear stick on that side of the car. I get used to this. Definitely get used to this. So we'll be spending the next 7 days in the deserts of United Arab Emirates and Oman.
Back at Sean's place, and it's time to pack everything into the vehicles.
Okay, well, we're leaving at daybreak tomorrow, and now we've got to pack all of the sponsored gear into the vehicle, and this is obviously a bedroll, and apparently it is a Arabic favorite, and I'll show it to you later when we're actually camping with it.
Try them out.
No, we'll do. You know something? I'm looking.
Our plan is to leave at daybreak and head straight out to the dunes to give the 6x6 a tryout.
So, check it out! Look at it! These guys really pulled out the stops. They did everything that I wanted, and it's got 6 wheels!
The vehicle I'm driving is a Toyota Land Cruiser 79 pickup with a 6x6 conversion designed by Multidrive Australia. Multidrive's export agency is NSV, the company that loaned us this example. Those of you that have noticed that the vehicle has miraculously changed from a beige colour to a white colour, well, that's what happens when you spend a long time in the desert sun. Truth is, the beige one was sold that afternoon. Lucky for us, they had another one in stock. This one has the 1HZ 4.2 naturally aspirated diesel engine, but with a Safari Turbo edition.
So anyway, there it is. We're heading off into the desert, and we're going into the Al Marmoom Conservation Area, where apparently there's quite a lot of wildlife. And I'm gonna give it the first trial on the dunes, on the sand. I'm not gonna let down the tires or anything at this stage. I want to feel the vehicle before I start changing it. So, here we go.
So, you're the wife that gets dragged along on all of these things. Talk to me about that.
I don't know if it's as much as dragging along. I want to go with because I really, really, really enjoy the outdoors.
Okay, what I've done, this guy's driving their horses. What I've done is I've actually purposely got it stuck. I purposely went up a dune in the wrong gear, low range first, to actually trying to get the thing to bury itself.
Because I want to see the 6x6 transmission working. The differential between axle 2 and 3 locks itself automatically. Let's look at that again. The rear axle drives first, less than half a rotation, and the second axle is engaged. I also want to see how this very clever suspension works. With a normal 6-wheel drive, when the vehicle is on a slope like this, almost all of the load is carried on the second axle. With this system, the axle articulates enough so weight stays distributed amongst both second and third axles.
I can smell something. The engine's working hard, and got out the car and it's immediate. It's the tires. The tires are actually starting to they're quite hot, and they're starting to smell. It's because of the constant grinding in the sand. It's very heavy on tires, and as amazing as it performed with normal pressures, height of the day, hot sun. I'm battling too much, stretching the car too much, and it's quite hot. Great to be back in the desert though.
starting to really enjoy this vehicle. But how good is it really in the sand?
Okay, I mean, I had to do it. I mean, come on. I had to get a 6-wheel drive stuck. At least I could then say in my resume that I've actually got a 6-wheel drive stuck. But I just took the power off at completely the wrong moment and allowed it to rest, and to see if it would pull itself out, and it won't. So we're going to take a tap. You know something? The front wheel's got to move this far, and you're free. So we should you could just do a gentle tug down the hill. That's fine. Now, when you're driving and you ask somebody for a pull recovery, the vehicle doing the pulling actually should be the one making the final decision on whether the straps are good, whether the shackles are good, whether all of the connections are good, not the person being recovered. Because there is an equal chance that one of these two vehicles could get damaged, and therefore, if there's an equal chance, he must be the one deciding on how he's going to help me, not me deciding on how he's going to help me. That's the wrong way to do it. And so I'm kind of leaving it up to him, but he knows what he's doing, and as long as I'm happy as well, he makes the final decision. That's the way it should be. This is American off-road or something. Snatch rope, 2,800, 900 pounds, American product, and I understand it's damn good.
Right, let's feed it through the safety.
Cable ties, I'll chuck them away.
The rope on this side so I can see when it gets. Alright, so when you get in, speak to me on the radio.
Right. No.
The wind has come up a bit, so it's time to try some traditional protection.
Yeah, so just find your spot there.
Find the middle.
And then drop these two, drop your hands, and then fold one over like you fold a scarf. The point,
Okay, I'll get there.
Okay.
Okay, can I film it now?
No. I look like a complete idiot.
This here, you try and find this piece to get onto your forehead here. Okay, so as you're holding it's doing that,
All right. Are you rolling?
Yeah.
And again, to feel one with the nation, I will take this, it's basically a square fabric cloth, and put it over there, and then I flap that on that side. Don't laugh, it's the first time I've ever done it. And we do that, and then we go driving. Perfect. Let's go. Alright, we're chasing some camels. We're going to a tree over there, and we're going to try and have a look at some camels.
There it is. Looks just like a cigarette packet, doesn't it? These could be wild camels, they could also be domestic. And these are Arabian gazelle.
The joys.
Oh, it seems that while we've been enjoying the local wildlife, Sean has been digging holes in the desert. Well, you know what they say in the desert. If you don't succeed, try a few more times and then try and think of something else to do.
Yeah.
Over the top.
And then keep it stiff like that.
Right.
Drop your hands now.
Drop my hands.
And then
that.
grab a corner.
Grab it. The corner goes like that.
And then the other one.
And then that does that.
Then you can
So
readjust
now-
the top. There we
Okay.
go. Now throw that over
then-
your shoulder.
I can put a hat on to stop the wind blowing it away.
Okay, enough of that. I'm clearly not very good at it.
Over my shoulder.
Let's go and find a campsite. Oh, what's that? Is Sean stuck again? This time it's the 6x6's turn to give a helping hand. Sean's Land Cruiser has sunk into a hole, an invisible patch of incredibly soft sand.
In 1 second. There we go.
Not far off, we found a flat spot suitable for a camp.
That was a good day's driving. Very good indeed. And only just in time. So we're actually right on the edge of the border of Oman and the United Arab Emirates. And these red dune fields are actually full of people. A lot of people around, farms, and so we're not actually, it feels very remote. We're actually not remote at all. And the legend has it that the wind always stops about 30 minutes after sunset. Getting a bit chilly, first night in the desert. Apart from the pylons, an amazing place. Tomorrow, we cross into Oman, across the border, and we head into the mountains. That's what we have for us over the next few days. Well, it's early morning, first day out in the desert. Forgive my appearance this morning, makeup hasn't arrived yet. Just really, they're just so unreliable. This morning, first morning now, quite close to the Omani border, which is in that direction. There, amazing landscape. There's an enormous green area. It looks like England with sand dunes over there. Just green, enormous farmlands. We parked last night amongst the towering pylons, quite close to the border. So we wanted to find a lonely spot to camp, and well, this is the one we could find. Sitting here in the desert, I reminded myself. I think as I've grown up, I've learned to accept the moment, enjoy the actual moment. You know, so often, I mean, I did anyway, when I was younger, it was always about what next. And, you know, it took very little time to smell the roses, as the cliche goes. And these trips I've been doing the last 3 or 4 years and shooting these films, so very much aware of the fact that I'm in the moment, that I'm in the desert. I'm actually in the desert now. Just enjoying the desert now. Really trying to suck it all up. And acutely aware of the terrible state of my hair. Anyway, take one, you have to take the other. So where it is.
Oman in a Toyota Land Cruiser 6x6. Both of these are totally new concepts for me. What will I find as I enter this ancient desert world? Will my vehicle live up to all the hype? That's what I'm here to discover. as my mount and I take on the mountains, wadis, ancient cities and fabulous beaches. As we warm our water for our evening shower, I have time to reflect on the day. We left our dune camp just after sunrise, crossed the border into Oman and began our climb into the foothills of the Al Hajara Mountains. I'm travelling with my wife Gwyn and our hosts Sean and Andronette Meyer, South African expats who have made touring this country an obsession. Our expedition has already had us enjoying the fruits of Dubai on the Persian Gulf.
That was just beautiful. All the boats, I mean, nobody hit each other. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's organised chaos.
And for the next 5 days, we will be exploring these desert mountains, ending our trip on a beach on the Arabian Sea. One of the first things we did when entering Oman was top up our fuel tanks.
How much is that? 15.50.
15 riyal, 500.
About 29 pounds. That's about $35 to fill it. That translates to 26p or 36 US cents per litre. That makes overlanding in Oman one of the cheapest places in the world.
Best part of the evening, of course. We've arrived at our campsite. Sean has brought us to this magnificent spot. It's not very far from a town, probably no more than 20 minutes or so. It feels very remote, and I wouldn't say similar to the Richtersveld, I would say identical to the Richtersveld. The areas of the Richtersveld, which is the far northwestern Cape province in South Africa. It's the only mountain desert in southern Africa, and the colours, even the trees, it's the same. It's more than the same. It's identical, and the Richtersveld is beautiful, and so is this mountain desert. First time I've ever been to a mountain desert outside of Africa. Absolutely exquisite. Driving through Oman, fantastic sense of history all the time. You come into these villages and you get modern homes, but you also get structures like that. Now the local chap who lives in the house right next to it says in his very broken English that it's 1,000 years old. Sean reckons he probably has dropped a decimal point, probably closer to 100 years old. But they are, well, unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Deeper and deeper into the mountains we go. The 6x6 is attracting a lot of local attention.
Right, now this is the beauty shot for the show, for the series, for the expedition. Beauty shot on the edge of the Grand Canyon, the country of Oman. And I'm not going to look over there because it'll probably make me feel queasy, but I will photograph it. This here they call the Grand Canyon of Oman.
So far, the Grand Canyon is the only touristy spot that we've so far come across in Oman.
We have climbed, amazingly, in the last 21 kilometers from 400 feet above sea level to 2,100 meters. It's been quite a climb. Yo! Now that is a hero shot.
Oman
Like
isn't a
stiff.
touristy place. There are no commercial campsites and few things that tourists would want to buy. And that's one of the reasons I like it so much. Gwyn did find some woolen bangles for my daughters. Camped now on a high plateau with the sun setting. Time for good food and good conversation. I asked Sean, where exactly are we?
Right, so we're in Oman, the Hajj Mountains. So the Hajj mountain range stretches from UAE through the Oman, well, I suppose, yeah, it's the northern and western side, all the way to the coast.
Right.
And we're at a place called Jebel Shams. Now, Jebel is mountain, and it's one of the tallest mountains in the Oman Hajj mountain range.
Right.
So we just passed Jebel Shams, the pinnacle, and the Grand Canyon, which we saw earlier today. And we're in a little riverbed with a phenomenal sunset over here on the cliff as such. Best camp spot in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Those of you who have done overlanding and wild camping, whether in the mountains or on the open plains, only you will understand the feeling of waking up at daybreak in a place that is, well, it feels as if you're the first humans that have ever been there.
Well, good morning. Day 4. Cup of coffee. Woken up to brilliant sunshine. Actually a little bit of a late start for me. I slept in because I knew that as the sun would come up it would be quite high because of the hills, therefore very bright, therefore not ideal for photography, and even had enough time for shooting to comb my hair, although it doesn't look like it, and have a cup of coffee. Today we have a completely open day. We can choose what we want to do. I went around the campfire last night, lovely conversation until midnight, and I think what we're going to do this morning is talk about that truck, that 6-wheel drive truck. What's it like to drive? It's odd is the wrong word. Interesting, I think, is probably the better word. The way it rides on corrugations is very unusual. The way it tackles obstacles, the dune driving, we've already seen. It's an amazing conversion. It's not just another axle behind the second axle. And I'm going to show you that and why I don't think it's just another axle this morning.
That is, of course, after pancakes and jam for breakfast.
How good is that?
Oh, look. Goats.
Sheep.
Yeah, those are sheep.
They're sheep.
Yeah.
They are sheep.
Yeah.
Silly me. I like goats.
They look like goats.
I expected goats.
Yeah. The goats came past this morning.
So now, most 6-wheel drive vehicles, and if I include the Mercedes Geländewagen 6-wheel drive, for example, there is no direct link in terms of the suspension between the second axle and the third axle. The way the last extra axle is located is the same as the front axle.
But with this multi-drive system, they are not independent. They are linked together.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to film the axles and the springs working over this obstacle. Sean, if you can put it in reverse for me and go back and park the back wheel, the front of the back wheels on that rock again.
With this design, when the second axle moves up, it pushes mechanically the third axle down.
Okay, now move forward very slowly.
This means that the weight load is shared equally by both rear axles, no matter the terrain, within its limits, of course. And it has the uncanny effect of smoothing the ride to a remarkable degree. The front wheel lifts, it pushes the back down. Let's say it lifted 30 centimeters. It pushes the back down let's say 30 centimeters, give or take variances caused by the springs. So if the front wheel lifts 30 centimeters, it pushes the back wheel down 30 centimeters. The net result is the bump is reduced from a 30 centimeter bump to a 15 centimeter bump. I admit that is a simplistic way of looking at it, but the end result is the ride over rocks and rough stuff is amazingly smooth.
I must compare the 6-wheel Land Cruiser with an ordinary 4-wheel Land Cruiser pickup. Handling on an open road, such as this winding mountain road, is remarkably similar. This vehicle is heavier at the back. I do feel that there is a difference in handling. But to be truthful, only now am I feeling it. Because we have driven for 2 days in all kinds of terrain on tar. And the feel inside the vehicle in terms of handling, I can't really tell the difference. Where I can tell the difference is when it gets rough, when the road gets rough, and then the handling is very different indeed. I expected it to be a bit of a beast, a bit heavy, a bit kind of, that I would have to manhandle it around these mountain roads. Not really, maybe a little more, maybe a bit. But where the handling of this vehicle has excelled itself, and I am absolutely astonished by it, on a rough track, the handling of this vehicle, the ride particularly, is amazing. And that's because of this amazing double axle system that they built into the back of the vehicle.
More than 2,000 feet below Jebel Shams, this is the 400-year-old town called Al-Hamra.
I can't remember a pass this dramatic. It reminds me of stories that I've read about places in Pakistan, Afghanistan, the Khyber Pass. Just extraordinary. We drove for 10-15 minutes on this winding tar track, over the top, and suddenly this gravel track. It's exquisite, really brilliant. Well, this is our campsite on day 4. It was quite concerning going down the path, because no travel information gives much information about the pass, and we had no idea that there was going to be a place to camp. And of course we arrived on the pass late in the day, and after an hour of twisting and turning you get to a point of no return where you realize, well, you have to continue, because if you turned back it would be dark by the time you found any flat ground on which to camp. But on the riverbed, on the wadi, we've come down approximately 2,000 feet on that gravel road. Sensational.
So to conclude for the moment, my thoughts on the 6x6. Absolutely spectacular mountain pass. I had a crease on my face the whole way down. The vehicle performed brilliantly. What a pass. What a day it's been.
Our last minute pack up before we go. Unbelievably glorious campsite right in the mountains, towering right close to us. Moon last night, absolutely wonderful. Only one problem, a lot of litter around. Really, actually quite disgusting in terms of a campsite anyway. But this morning, again, we're now going, we passed over the highest part of the mountains, we're now winding our way down, and about 3 hours on blacktop to the coast.
For the past 6 days, I've been touring Oman in a Toyota Land Cruiser 6-wheel drive. Gwyn and I are travelling with expats Sean and Andronette Mayer. We've come via Dubai, through the Oman Highlands, and are poised to drop down to sea level and the coast. What I love about Oman is that there is a surprise around every corner. Who could have anticipated wedding cake houses? Or that's what Gwyn and I dubbed these beautiful pastel-coloured villas, so beloved by the Omanis. Close to sea level now. From Al Hamra we've dropped as far as we can go, where the wadis are broad and stony.
Echo! From our brilliant campsite in the canyon, 3 or so hours driving towards the coast, dropping 1,000 meters, we're our new campsite in the canyon, and the sea not 2 kilometers away. Oman has been extraordinary. It's an extraordinary country. I think maybe one of the reasons why I love deserts is that they can throw up such diverse landscapes. I mean, look at this place. Did you ever think, I didn't, did you ever think that a place like this could exist in the Middle East? I mean, I've always thought the Middle East would be lots of sand, dunes, sand, dry desert. Yes, it's lots of that. But these magnificent places. There is, in fact, in the south of the country, an enormous rainforest, a genuine rainforest in Oman. Oman's a very, very big country. But what a campsite. I mean, there is a bit of litter around, yeah, I'll give you that. But it's, I mean, look at that campsite. Isn't that exquisite? When we collected the vehicle from Dubai, from NSV, who prepared it for us, and they showed me the vehicle, I was just, what an incredible thing, I can drive that thing. And then immediately the practicalities struck. How am I going to actually travel with it? How am I going to film it, carry my equipment, when it's only a single cab? So they very generously got to work, and in a matter of days did the following. They built this to mount the rooftop tent, so we would have a place to sleep. They took 2 camera cases and they strapped them, bolted them, good firm brackets onto this cage that runs almost the full length of the load bed. And it's a waterproof, dustproof container, all my camera equipment. in the middle, a cage for firewood. Fridge. Now, the Waco is not my favorite fridge, but you know, they're actually really good. They're very reliable. They've got a great name. They are heavy on current, but apart from that, they're great. They're good. I like them. And so 40-litre Waco with, of course, lots of very nice cold Cokes. I managed to get a sponsorship from BF Goodrich in Dubai. So grateful for them, because again, I wanted to do more tests with the KO2 all-terrain, and this has been even better because it's been very, very rocky, very hard on the tires. The old tires did suffer from some chipping. Do the new tires suffer from chipping? Not as far as I can see. I haven't seen one lost lug. This is the 1HZ 4.2 aspirated diesel engine with an aftermarket Safari turbo fitted. Not enough power for this car, even with a turbo fitted. I would say that it is still underpowered. I would certainly, if I was buying one, select a different engine. Inside, what they did do for me, which was very nice of them, is fit. It's one of their own products. It's a tire monitoring system, entertainment system, and it's linked directly to the audio system. It has navigation, has phone, and it mirrors one's own iPhone or iPad or whatever. I haven't really used it much because I'm not huge into technical stuff, but if I had sat for a couple of hours and learned how to use it, I'm sure it actually would have been quite fun and quite useful as well. On this side of the vehicle, they built a rack. Now, we needed to carry quite a bit of water, and I've got this rack for 6 jerry cans that they made and installed, and I actually filled them up always, because knowing with this huge additional payload, and I wasn't using it, the vehicle was going to ride was going to be very, very hard. I don't think I needed to have worried. The ride is not hard at all, and this is, even with all this stuff, I'm not heavy. I'm not remotely close to the payload maximum, and it is not a hard ride. In fact, it's a very, very good ride. The Arabian Sea, quite warm. The road travels for miles next to the coast. We're going to take it. We're looking for a camping site, but we're also going to look for some nesting turtles. And I understand this is the perfect time of year to do so.
Sean must now navigate us to a secret campsite. Not published on any map or on any database, he keeps this place a secret.
Well, this down there is our camping spot for the night. But what's so exciting about it is that on the beach itself, on the sand, I can see the little tracks from the turtles as they move from the sea to their nesting area. And in fact, you can see quite clearly down there the mounds where they bury their eggs. Tonight, late, hopefully, we're going to get to see some up close.
The beach is abundant with life. Young manta rays play all along the surf line. While in the rock pools, fish and crabs are plentiful. And while no fish fell to Sean's lure, the low spring tide has meant that fresh mussels are easy to reach.
Full of nonsense.
However, the main course will be roast beef.
Alright, so it's a standard rotisserie. As long as the ground is nice and soft and we can adjust the height, perfect, we do it. Why suffer when you're camping when we can have a beautiful roast? So the line of rocks, we're on Turtle Beach. We've got to try and ensure that the flame is no bigger than the rocks. what happens at night, if we're lucky enough tonight, we'll see the turtles hatching, and if that happens and the light is obviously shining from the fire, you'd find that the turtles would follow the light instead of following the moon going back to the ocean. So what we're looking at to do is to ensure that the fire is contained, there's no light, physical open flame, and so that we see turtles going the right way.
The moon, now well above the horizon, means that the turtles will be coming ashore. A dead pufferfish, obviously killed by fisherman's gut, and the remains of an eel. And there it is, a green turtle. She's on her way up the beach to lay eggs. We've turned off our torches, leaving only the red one on. White light might frighten her, and if so, she would flee back to the safety of the sea. On a typical night, a female might dig as many as 10 holes, searching for just the right spot to leave her eggs. Single biggest disappointment with Oman has undoubtedly been the fact that there is a lot of litter about. It's kind of everywhere. There's obviously a culture of not looking after nature. You know, here, very few people come here, but those that do leave litter behind. It's quite saddening, actually. It hasn't spoiled my experience of the country to the least degree, but it's constantly there, litter lying in all these wonderful places. I've spent some days now with Sean Mayer and his Land Cruiser 76, and I needed him to explain to me his seemingly insatiable thirst for gadgets.
I would class this as quite a cluttered cockpit.
Extremely.
So go through briefly what each thing is doing.
So what we got here, start off with the Garmin GPS, proper navigation. So we use this all the time to get from A to B. It's full off-road capability, so off the beaten track, this is the only way to go.
Which model is that?
This is the Montana 650.
Okay.
All right. It has the camera ability, which I never use anyway,
Okay.
but it has the ability when you store a waypoint to take a photo, and once you've done the photo, it stores that as a waypoint, and you can actually visually see this was that beach instead of the next beach.
Okay.
However, the issue that I have with the Garmin, it doesn't give me the topography, it doesn't give me dead ends into dry riverbeds, or especially navigating through the dunes. With a heavy car like this, we can't go dune bashing, we have to get around them, and we have to snake our way through the mountains, or the dunes for that matter. I use an iPad for that. This is Motion X Pro, which gives me full topography, it gives me outline, it gives me satellite views. So without having to have 3G connection, you download the maps that you're going to the area that you're going to prior leaving for that area, and you can then navigate yourself through as if you were on Google Earth or Google Maps for that matter. So in conjunction with the two, we normally find our way pretty easy. We saw yesterday trying to get into this beach with the little canyons in the way, we had to ensure that we chose the right canyon to get to the cliff that we needed to come down, and that's where this comes in handy, because your Garmin is just going to give you tracks and it doesn't give you the Google Earth view. So those are the two navigation parts that I have here. Newly from NSV, they've installed a system that basically does tire pressure. It's various goodies that I love, but what I use mostly over here is my tire pressure. The guys have started to get this installed into the Land Cruisers here in the UAE and Middle East, standard out the box. It's a standard feature. Mine was imported, so unfortunately I didn't get it, but they were kind enough to pass this on to us. That's what I'm looking at most of the time. I think that's the most important, especially running around at the weight that we do. Another nice gadget. So this is a DVR system. This records permanently. So instead of running the standard GoPro with another suction cup onto the window, that's nice and neat. I quite like that. I think we might be using some of the footage. So far I'm pretty impressed. I like the fact that it records all the time, and then when you need something that you want to utilize, hit the button and it takes 6 minutes prior recording and whatever you're recording at that point in time. I think that's a phenomenal feature. I find when I was running the GoPro, as soon as you see something you hit that, but the moment's over. The fact that it's using 6 minutes prior is phenomenal. So I have the two-way radio, so that's my speaker, so I can hear nice and loud and clear what's going on when chatting to, especially with guys using handholds. The clarity is not always that good. So it's up there nice and loud. So we use that for the comms, quite good range. Above me over here, which you cannot see, I have my fridge monitors so I run 2 fridges. One is a freezer. You might say, why run 2 fridges? It's an overkill. Well, the joys of spending time like this off the beaten track, I would say, is spending time with the missus, and the missus wants ice. So we will run 2 fridges, whether it uses as much battery power, we get the ice. So you've got to give it take a little, so that's where we're at. So fridge monitor is important. I've had a couple of times where the actual the power cable is pulled out of the fridge, and if you have to keep on checking your freezer, it's obviously going to be working overtime. So checking that it's actually on and not losing your meat on a long trip, especially if you're gone for 5, 6, 7, 10 days, you need that freezer to run at optimal temperature. So important, out of sight, out of mind, but good to check every now and then as we're traveling.
It's time to wrap up my trip. My conclusions are that Oman is an overlander's paradise. All the ingredients are there. And the multi-drive 6x6 Land Cruiser is extraordinary. And I think it's that way because this design has evolved over 20 years. This fabricated chassis is added behind the cab. They don't take the Toyota chassis and modify it. They literally cut the Toyota chassis, build this, and add it on. So everything you see here is part of the 6x6 conversion. This is where they build the axles. They're not the standard axles. They are all new. You can see here heavy reinforcements, and they're also wider than the standard Toyota rear axles. Back and front, they turn one around, so the one differential is on the right and the other differential is on the left. The power splitter consists of an automatic locking differential and an extreme duty chain drive located behind the main gearbox. This is what enables such extreme rear axle articulation, the key to the system's success. I was a little bit worried about this machine being this big, heavy, difficult to maneuver vehicle, particularly on gravel tracks, and this pass has been, to me, the ultimate test for gravel road driving, because I've got switchback after switchback after switchback, steep downhill, steep uphill. I thought this thing would suffer from acute understeer because you've got all that rubber behind you and just the normal rubber in front doing the steering. Amazingly, it feels like a standard Land Cruiser. It errs a little bit on the oversteer, not on the under. Well, that's actually pretty neutral. You can get the back to come out, but I'm amazed on how normal it feels. It now has an enviable track record of reliability, so much so that I think I want one for myself. Oh well, maybe one day. Come to the end of our Oman expedition. I like to call these trips expeditions because every one there's a sense of... Oh, these shoes are not ideal for this. There's a sense of the unknown, and I like the word expedition. It is an expedition. All the excitement of an expedition, that you really don't know what's going to come next. And while Sean has been a great guide, there have been days where he hasn't known quite where we're going to end up. And of course, for Gwyn and myself, we've never been to this country, and it's been a revelation. And I think what makes me think, my last thought about Oman is the fact that it is unbelievably diverse, from the mountains to the sand seas to this. Absolutely fantastic. Friendly people, really friendly people, welcoming. And I always think it's special to end an expedition on a high. And there is today's high. Isn't that fantastic? I think that is absolutely brilliant. We have had an incredible experience, and it's all been possible, and the videos that will follow are because of our Patreon supporters. Patreon supporters basically saying, Andrew, we really love your videos. In some way we live through you. We don't have the time to get out so much and see these incredible places. You're doing it for us. Please keep doing it.